Dr. Mehdi Hatamian. When I spoke to him, he said something that caught my attention. He said, "I've been happy ever since I remember," and that his experiences and challenges in life overall has not challenged his happiness. Furthermore, he attributes his success to having enjoyed the journey. From NASA to Bell Laboratories to the Silicon Valley, unplanned, he said, awards and publications, what led him was the journey and doing what he believed in. Through grit and perseverance, challenges of life's happenings, he left the dot-com world to follow his personal passion in 2016 and founded 2 Pi Sigma corporations, dedicating his experience and expertise to the next generation cancer screening devices and technologies. Interesting, he said, the saddest experience of his life has led to what makes him happiest in the world today. Please help me welcome Dr. Hatamian.
Hello, everyone. There's no way I can match the previous speakers, so please bring your expectations down. That will help me a little bit. Thank you, all the organizers, for this wonderful event. I've never been part of OCIACC before or participated in any, and this is a wonderful gathering. Special thanks to Shani for trusting me when she said, "Would you come and speak?" I said, "I don't know what I'm going to talk about." She said, "Just come and speak." And to this moment, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I really don't, okay? And there's a reason for that, and that is because you just talk about what you know, right? I mean, I don't have to write something and then talk from that and all that stuff. And the best way when you have more time is usually to ask the crowd what they want to hear and right away ask questions and start interacting and make it very interactive. That's not possible within the, I don't know, we have 8 minutes or so. But of course, it's a Persian skill where we can make time as we go. There was a famous general who was visiting his soldiers one day, and all of these soldiers were so proud of the fact that they were working 18 hours a day, and they were bragging to him about it. And he got really upset. He said, "When I was your age in military, I worked 28 hours a day." I said, "Sir, how is that possible?" He said, "Damn it, you get up 4 hours earlier in the morning." so it's always possible to make time. Following the concept of, I don't know what I'm talking about, but so the general theme here is success, entrepreneurship, the story of your life. Mine has been very sinusoidal. I cannot match Shireen's. That was amazing, Shireen. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It was my hat off to you. That was beautiful. When it comes to success, you have to first define what success is, right? So in the eyes, when it comes to startups and businesses and entrepreneurship, in the eyes of many people, success is making a lot of money, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. Especially for VCs, that's the only thing that's considered success if you make a lot of money. If they invest in your company and you get a multiple of 10, you're very good. If it is a multiple of 20, you're excellent. If it's a multiple of 2, you're just a company, So that's not called success in their eyes. Rightly so, that's their business. They make investments to make money, nothing else. But for yourself, and this has been the case for me, I defined success a long time ago. To me, success is happiness. Right? Whatever you do, if making money is what makes you happy, fantastic. Then success is making a lot of money. Now, if making a lot of money is success, I've been very good. I've made a lot of money. If losing all of that money is failure, I've been good at that too, actually more often. Right? So it's been quite sinusoidal in that respect, where the peak being like you have money you don't know what to do with, and the other end being bankrupt. Well, I've been at both positions, actually more than once. And So you have to define for yourself. And as a matter of fact, success is something, or happiness, I should say. Happiness is something that you can't define. It's a state. You know where you're in it. You know you're happy. Whatever leads you there, it leads you there. But it's a state. When you know, when you achieve that happiness, you know. When you're happy with your life, you know. And again, as I said, that's making a lot of money. That's fantastic. With money, you can do great stuff. It's wonderful. It's you can do a lot of things that makes you happy and makes others happy. So that has been something that has driven me all my life ever since probably primary school, right? I kind of was an entrepreneur during high school. I kind of created a few different small businesses. One of them was repairing TVs without knowing how TVs work, but I managed to still repair them. That's a long story. You can talk to me about it later. Another one which I'm not really proud of, and maybe I shouldn't admit, but I did that business for a while, and I was a hired homework doer. So I charged students to do their homework. Wasn't good. I mean, I did have a rule that I didn't do the entire thing, like maybe 60%, 65%. Not because I didn't want to, or not because at that point I was thinking this is wrong, you shouldn't do this. It's because if I did it all of them would be the same, and somebody is gonna look at this and say, look, where did all of this come from? But I did that for a while. I admit it. I'm not proud of it, but it's kind of funny. And also a little bit of playing with photography. But ever since I started college, and even before that, the entire life is driven by trying to do new things and science, right? Of course, sometimes that results in disasters, such as setting the house on fire, doing chemical experiments, and I've done that. My mom is too old; she couldn't be here. Otherwise, she can tell you a story about that as well, how the house was set on fire because of a certain experiment I was doing. But it has been driven by that desire. It was not planned at all, like some of the previous speakers mentioned on how decide to do this, that. Everything that has happened to me, and I truly consider myself the luckiest person in the world, and I'll tell you in a minute why. Everything that has happened to me, everything that has been created, whether it was useful, whether it was used by many people or never used or was a failure, everything was accidental. Everything. From the first day that I came to the United States in 1977, which I remember very vividly because that was the day Elvis Presley died. And I was wondering, well, why this whole country is in a state of shock. And later I found out. But from that day onward, everything was just entirely an accident. A year from that point, as a first kind of real engineering job, I was working on a space shuttle project at NASA as a part-time job while I was going to graduate school. And that was like, who could dream of that? I barely spoke, real English. I mean, I could get by, but I mean, who could dream of that? You come from Iran, you trying to get into graduate school. All of a sudden, you have this, part-time job. You go to Johnson Space Center. You work on a space shuttle project. You build hardware. You write software, and then it flies, goes to space, and comes back to ground, and it works all this time between ground and the space. It was an amazing experience, but I consider that, yes, hard work has something to do with it. Having passion for what you do has something to do with it, but luck has something to do with it too, the element of luck. It's always part of the randomness that exists in the world. That's the element of luck. There are random things that happen to you where you just cannot predict, you cannot plan. You go with it, you make the best of it. Some of us, the luck knocks on the door, we don't realize it's a luck, and you don't take the opportunity. It happened to me. Joining Bell Laboratories. Bell Laboratories was the dream for every graduate school or every engineering graduate. And that happened to me accidentally. 10 years at Bell Labs, did all kinds of things that I loved. Starting a company from there happened entirely accidentally. One Friday I was talking to a Bell Labs colleague, and next Friday we were out, we formed the company. And that went on for 5 years and finally got acquired. After that, joining Broadcom and staying at Broadcom was entirely accidental. It was not planned at all. The plan was to come to California and start another company, and I ended up at Broadcom. Because I realized when I met them and I spoke with them, that back then there were only 50 people, that these people are too bright to compete with. You join them, you don't compete with them. And I was going to do the same thing they were doing, and I'm so glad I joined. 20 years later, there was a point in time, and this one, you can say, this is the last one, the company I've started as of a couple of years ago. It's a biotech company. It works on cancer screening technologies. And how many minutes do I have? I don't see any signs. All right. They say another 15 minutes. That's good. So I heard that. So we'll be done in a second. So this company, even though there is an accidental element in it, but in the back of my mind, that one probably was somehow planned. And it's a company that works on cancer screening technologies. We kind of like to do it under the radar. We don't advertise. We don't do, because of the fact that it is very easy to hype that and gets hyped. And I don't want people to go hype this. It does get hyped. It does get out of control. When it all works and it does it, then you just go advertise. We don't even have a website. But we're making a lot of progress, and I personally believe that it is definitely going to happen because it's really my mission for life. And it started more than 20 years ago when my sister was dying of brain cancer, who unfortunately died in 2001. And because of that, I got involved with a couple of bright people who were starting a company to do some cancer work on a drug. And I became the first kind of major investor in the company at that time. But I then learned a lot from them and cooperated with them, and it was kind of my side passion to follow this. I had certain ideas for doing this detection that I'm working on right now, but it got to a point where it couldn't be a side passion anymore because I believed in it so much that I said, I don't care if this job is so great and all of that. I have to quit and do this. And I did. And I couldn't be any happier. I tell you very sincerely, this is such a wonderful thing. It's giving me energy every single day. When I wake up, I just can't wait until I get to my setup and continue what I was doing the night before. And I say the night before because it's really, it goes on until 8, 9 p.m. And I couldn't be any happier, but the ironic thing, which I still haven't been able to resolve in my head, is that the saddest thing that happened to me in my life, the loss of my sister, has led to something that makes me so happy. I don't know. I can't resolve that. I don't know what to think of it. I don't know. Is it right to say that I'm so happy even though my sister died? But that's what has happened. It's quite ironic. Anyways, I think I'm over time if I'm not mistaken. And there's only one thing I leave everyone with. If you have a good idea, do not sit on it. Just go do it. Thank you.